How's it going, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Armchair Analysis here on YouTube. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day so far. It is Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. Welcome back to the Spotify listeners. If you're new around here, we do post on Spotify. You can find that down below in the link down in the description, of course. Along with our Discord server, the Armchair University Discord. Going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you tune into that or get yourself over there because during the football season, during the playing season, as I call it, we're going to have game threads where you guys can talk about all your favorite teams, all your games, as best as we possibly can add as many of the big game threads as possible. And then the rest of the chat just for general conversation. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm trying to build a really fun community here at Armchair Analysis, and I hope you guys will join and take part in that. So with all that stuff said, let's go ahead. Oh, my nose itches. Man, let's go ahead and get into today's subjects. Starting off, we're going to talk a little bit about the Brennan Sorsby situation. Then we're going to go into a cliche topic, a topic that everybody's been kind of going after for the last, I don't know, couple months, I guess, since Indiana won the national championships. Who could be the next Indiana? I've got a list of 5 schools that I'm going to talk about that I think have the most likely chance. There's criteria involved. We'll talk about all of it. But let's start today getting into the Brennan Sorsby situation, which continues to kind of grow by the minute. Of course, we talked about this last week, and we talked about kind of what the possible implications are. And I think there are even further than what we really know so far that should come down the line. What was he betting on? How much was he betting? And really the biggest question, where do they go from here? Where does Brennan Sorsby go? Where does Texas Tech go? Where does this investigation go? The biggest problem right now that faces Brennan Sorsby is the fact that he has allegedly bet on Indiana football games while he was at Indiana. Let alone bet on any college football games while you're in college, is a complete violation of the rules, which could lead to an FBI investigation. We'll talk a little bit about it here, but what we know so far is that the NCAA has rules that restrict gambling on sports that the NCAA could be considered connected to. So, MLB, NBA, NFL, college sports of all kinds, you can't bet on those. The reason for that, once again, if the NCAA is connected to it, you just can't bet on it. It's very similar to NFL. You can't bet on other NFL teams, even if it's not your team. Same thing with the MLB, NBA. Like you can't bet on those sports, and they all have their own specific gambling restrictions. The legal betting, it goes to UFC, NASCAR, I think, and then some other outside entities, but nothing that again can be tied to the NCAA. There's this program that's used. This is what we kind of have learned recently that I kind of want to talk about because I think it's very interesting. There's a program that they use for gambling oversight around college sports. It's called Prohibet, Prohibet. And what it does is it's kind of a monitoring service that when somebody tries to make a bet that's on a restricted thing for them, they're all, logged in essentially and reporting. Basically all of their bets all student athletes bets get reported to this app or this entity, and all of those bets get screened to make sure that they are within NCAA rules. There's a specific set of guidelines and all that they have to follow. If any bet comes back as out of order in any way, the school gets notified, the NCAA gets notified. That's the way I've understood it. So how this, sometimes things slip through the cracks, as it does with all technology, but how this slipped through the cracks for so long is very troubling, I guess, going forward, because do we know kind of where this could lead or how this could turn out? I don't think we really know. What we do know about Brennan Sorsby's situation is that he placed, I'm going to use quotes, thousands of bets on different sports, including MLB. We know for certain that he was at MLB games betting on every pitch at Reds games. There's a casino, or not a casino, but like a betting table that's in the stadium that people can go to and bet on every pitch, everything like that. The problem is the MLB is one of those restricted sports. So going into that deep dive a little bit, I don't know that would result in Brendan Sorsby not being able to play any further, but it would certainly result in probably a suspension at the very minimum side of things. What we still don't really know for sure, it's alleged, but it's not proven yet, at least to this point, is whether or not he did or did not bet on Indiana football during the 2023 season when he was at Indiana redshirting that year. If he bet on Indiana football games, I'm going to be very willing to bet that two things happen. One, the FBI does get involved, because at that point, then you start looking at, I believe, like point shaving, racketeering type charges, a lot of things that go beyond my knowledge. So I'm gonna not go too far into that. But what I do know is that the FBI would investigate, or likely will investigate. It's not a foregone conclusion, but it's possible. The other thing is, if he did bet on Indiana football, he will not play another down in college. And at that point, then we start looking at the compensation draft, I think it is, for the NFL, where he might try to take a stab at that. The question then begins to wonder, will an NFL team take that chance? Will an NFL team want him to be a part of it, or will he kind of be blackballed from the sport? I don't want to see that happen. I'm not in any way promoting that type of situation, but these are real situations. These are real thoughts and things that could happen going forward. This situation is far from over. We are far from learning everything that we are going to know. We are far from really knowing if Brendan Sorsby is ever going to play college football again. So much yet to be discovered and determined over the next couple of months. And I would say probably the next month at a minimum, just as time goes on, trying to gather all the information, go through all the situation. And then, of course, Brendan Sorsby acquiring an attorney to hopefully try to play college football again. At least that's his hope. We will kind of see where that all plays out. I just figured a quick update because we're getting more and more information. We've been, honestly, it's like 5 days later, but just trying to continue to stay up to date with all the information, because this is a really big deal for Texas Tech and a really big deal around the sport, especially now that the gambling becomes more and more popular, around the country. We move on, and before we do, I want to say, make sure you stick around. Make sure you like, subscribe if you're enjoying this show so far. We have more to go here today, but make sure you like, subscribe. Make sure you stick around, because June 1st, we begin preview season around here, which, if you're not familiar, we did it last year. Very fun. This year, 68 teams, 68 days from June 1st all the way until, I believe it's August 7th. It's the first Friday of August. This pertains the most in-depth preview you will see around the sport. We're going to talk about everything that happened last year, all the coaching changes, all the player changes, all the moves made, depth charts, full 12-game breakdown. It's one of the most in-depth you can find in college football. I venture to say the most in-depth. There are some that do a very similar job, but I don't think any will do as well as what we're trying to put together here. I've got a lot of stuff planned already. Syracuse is day number 1 on June 1st, so make sure you stick around for that and be a part of the action here on Armchair Analysis. All you got to do is hit the subscribe button. It's free. It just helps me out, helps these videos continue to get circulated around the YouTube and the internet, and hopefully we can continue to grow our channel. Make sure you follow me on social media down below as well. You can see all the links down here on the rotating panel. Make sure you follow me on social media. TikTok's going to start getting some work. Instagram, Twitter, starting to get some work over the next couple of days as well. Got a lot of stuff coming your way that you don't want to miss out on. So make sure you stick around. And again, if you're new around here, please go check us out on Spotify as well. Just started on Spotify. First episode uploaded yesterday. Second one will be the one you're listening to right now. So moving on. The next Indiana. Who could it be? What are the criteria that I'm going to put in place for this? I feel like it's low-hanging fruit to talk about the next Indiana after Indiana does what they've done, right? And really, it's kind of more so just like, this is the only topic I feel like a lot of people have talked about from January to now. And the more we think about it, the more I kind of want to talk about it. As much as I don't want to do what everybody else seemingly has done. I do want to talk about it a little bit, because I think it's interesting. And it's a really weird set of topics, right? I mean, there's certainly quite a few teams on this list that I think are getting there or are going to be close in the next coming years that we might want to start talking about. The criteria I put in place for this list: all-time winning percentage must be below 55%. So it must be below 55 or .550. Team can also have never won a natty. Now, they can claim a national championship, but if they're not recognized by the NCAA, they've never won a national championship. So that's how I am going to go about this. So let's go ahead and get started. My number one team on this list should be very, very obvious. It is the Vanderbilt Commodores. The NIL program at Vandy is certainly taking a very big positive step forward. The local kind of scene is starting to really buy into Vanderbilt football. It's all thanks to the coaching staff, which is also a big part of this, right? You have to have the right coaching staff in place. I think Clark Lee has got it. So when you look at it, the NIL, which is not going to be as much as some of the biggest programs in college football, but it's big enough. I mean, they just pulled 5-star quarterback Jared Curtis from Georgia. You look at that, you look at the coaching staff, and you look at their history. Never won a natty, as is the criteria. And the winning percentage is 46, almost 47%. It's .469. Vanderbilt is probably the closest team within this range that could win a national championship in the near future. I don't know what they will. I really don't. I don't have a good answer for that. But what I will say is it's very likely that they are going to be the closest and that they are the closest right now in the sport. So Vanderbilt's my number one team to be the next Indiana. You look at number two, and this one's going to surprise some people, given the 3 and 4 on my list. But I'm going to go with Kentucky. And this is more so a full buy-in to Will Stein and what he's doing and what he's been able to build so far at Kentucky in just a few short months to what this team could look like in the fall, which I think is going to look really good, and what this team I think is going to look like going forward with him at the helm. Sure, their recruiting ranking is inflated right now, but they're top 10 in recruiting class for 2027. That's going to change. Don't read too much into what I'm saying there. But just know that that's where they are right now. Had a really solid transfer portal class, and I think they bring in one of the smartest minds, one of the smartest young minds in college football. Kentucky, to me, feels like they could be in a position where Vanderbilt was a few years ago, where you watch the noted improvements. They don't quite get there yet. They don't quite start winning a bunch of games yet, but you watch the noted improvements. You watch the buy-in start to happen, and then they take off and start becoming a perennial 8 to 10 win team. Vanderbilt feels like an 8 to 10 win team this year. Once again, they've won that. They've been in that range for the last 2 years now. Kentucky feels like they can start to get there as well. So that's why Kentucky goes to number 2 for me. At number 3, you're going to say maybe this team should be number 1 with the way they've worked out in the transfer portal. Missouri is on this list, and it's, of course, the coaching staff. Eli Drinkwitz and what he's done so far has been nothing short of really fantastic. I mean, he's turned this Missouri program from a complete and total train wreck to a legitimate contender in SEC circles. And I think that this team, once again this year, even losing Bo Prabula, you could see Austin Simmons, you could see Matt Zollers. Probably going to be Austin Simmons. You got Ahmad Hardy, who's back once again, was one of the best running backs in the country last year, should be again this year. And then you pair that up with what they've been able to do in the transfer portal. And while they lose Zion Young and Damon Wilson, I think things are still going to continue to transfer forward for them, still go in the right direction. I think Missouri is one of the teams that's closest to doing this. Again, they are below that 55% winning percentage at 544, so 54%. But a team that I think certainly is on the up and up going forward. At number 4, I've got Jeff Brom's Louisville Cardinals. And yes, I stand by this one. 54.6% winning percentage over the history of the school. Jeff Brom knows what it takes to win there. He's done it as a quarterback and as a head coach now. And he brings in a quarterback that I think, if they put the right pieces around him over the next couple of years in Lincoln Keenholz, that they could be a legitimate contender, not just in the ACC, but in the playoffs. That's a bold take. But this Louisville team, I think, is going in the right direction. The defense continues to get better. The offense plays at an extremely high level, especially because Jeff Brom has done so well with quarterbacks over his career. I feel like this Louisville team is going to continue to take the proper steps forward. That's why they sit in this list at number 4. At number 5, we can go a few different directions here. I chose to go with a coaching staff that I have a lot of trust in right now, and that is Wake Forest. I could have gone other directions. Boston College fit this criteria. If I'm not mistaken, Kansas State fit this criteria, and I thought about Kansas State heavily. But what I really feel with this Wake Forest team is that the NIL continues to boost forward to where they're going to be probably in the same range that Indiana says they were last year, about $13 to $15 million within the next 3 years. Coaching staff has been well retained after 1 year. Rob Ezell as the offensive coordinator. By the way, Gio Lopez is a Rob Ezell student, essentially. Back in the South Alabama days, Ezell was Gio Lopez's quarterback, or offensive coordinator, I should say. There's a reuniting there. But even beyond that, it goes through this coaching staff, and it goes through the preparation that I think Jake Dickert takes into every single season and every single week. This team is not going to win a national championship, at least not currently. However, the way they go about their business on a daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis are that of championship caliber programs. The difference is Wake Forest has not been able to build up the NIL to really compete themselves with it. But I think they're the closest of the teams that are left in this range below 55% winning percentage. So it makes them a very intriguing answer to this question because they were, as far as I'm aware, they are the worst Power 4 winning percentage in college football all time at 41%. I mean, just at 41.9%. This team, this program, with the right staff in place, can become a winning program. It's going to happen, I think, sooner rather than later because I trust what Jake Dickert's doing. I was a big fan of his. I said 6-6 last year for this team, and I was told I was crazy, and they ended up going 9-4, and I looked more right than anybody else in the college football landscape. So with this team and this program, I think 9 wins is in reach again. And if you can continue to put that together, the NIL buys in, Roll the Quad has started to grow considerably, and especially now that they've gotten through some of the hurdles they've had to get through, or are starting to get through some of those hurdles. It feels as though this is a team and a program that can continue to build and become at least an ACC contender on a year-to-year basis, especially when you look at what other schools are doing. Are they going to match Miami? No. Are they going to match SMU? No. Louisville, even? Probably not. But I think they can get to a point where the NIL can be overcome, or the NIL deficit can be overcome by good coaching, which is what they have. And that makes them a really interesting name for this list. So Wake Forest comes in at number 5. Now, understand that it was hard to find 5 teams. And I know there's going to be some people who say, yeah, homer take. I get it. But this is a team that I think genuinely has that capability. I think this is a coaching staff that has that capability. So long as they stay together. Scotty Hazelton did a great job last year. The defense looks set again, and it feels like it's going to be set for a while. It just feels like they're in position where they could make another 2021-esque run at some point in the next couple of years. So Wake Forest is a team to watch. I think that people should really not let them fly too far under the radar. I couldn't find a G6 team that really made this list for me. The ones that are below 500 are the ones that are perennially in the dumpster. And I don't really see like any of them taking any steps forward in that progress or in that process. So to me, the next Indiana falls within those 5 teams. Again, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Missouri, Louisville, Wake Forest, in that order. Let me know what you guys think down below. I'm sure we'll all agree, right? No. Anyways, again, I appreciate y'all tuning in. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Tomorrow we will have... Really, I'm not sure what we're going to have tomorrow. I have kind of messed around with the thought of doing a couple G6 team previews. Some teams I'm just really intrigued by what they have. So it's possible that we sneak one of those in some way. It's possible that we find another kind of random topic to get through for another day. So there's still plenty to get through, plenty to talk about. Don't get too far ahead of yourselves. We got plenty of content here to come your way, Monday through Friday here on Armchair Analysis. So make sure you stick around. Again, make sure you follow us on Spotify if you haven't already. Make sure you follow the social medias right here, actually, if you haven't already. And also click that link in the description. Join the Discord server if you've got Discord. And keep up with everything going on in Armchair University. So thank y'all so much. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And we'll see y'all tomorrow with another episode of Armchair Analysis.